From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Well, hello, fine people. It's great to have you here joining us on the Badass Counseling Show. We are celebrating odd names today. So whether you are tuning in from Candy-Ojai County, northern Minnesota, Wauwatosa in Wisconsin, Shipshewana, Indiana, or Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, or all points outside of the U.S., especially up in Canada, which has such richly wonderful odd names, we welcome you to our show. It's great to have you here. This is the Badass Counseling Show. I am Sven Erlandson, the host of the Badass Counseling Show, and I am joined by my staff in-house. I've got Casey over there in the booth, and she is silent. You don't know that she's here, but the fact that it's functioning and everything's going well, and Rob and I are not getting too far out of hand, means Casey is here. And sitting next to me, since it is really, really functioning well, the man who makes it function well, Rob the Rocket. What say ye, Rob?
Well, miracles never cease. Yeah, it all seems to be working tonight, my friend. And, you know, I realized the other day I was reading a book actually by a mentalist about how to really understand people that you're talking to. It's not about magic. It's about understanding people. And it was explained
Wait a minute. What made you think that a mentalist was about magic? Because they both start with the letter M.
No, because people think, oh, you read minds. So that sounds like something a magician would do. But
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is not sleight of hand.
Gotcha.
But it was explaining about negativity bias, which explained to me why what you do is so hard. Because of negativity bias, because we feel the pain of rejection far more deeply than the balm of praise. You know, so you got a tall hill to climb, my friend.
It's always about finding what those fears are and the negative side of it, because that's what's really motivating people.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Rob, tell us about, and in the spirit of interesting names, and when your name is Sven, you can sort of call out and have fun with people with other interesting names. And I love this one. So tell us about Tech.
All right then, Sven. Tech did write into us, and she said, I'm the eldest daughter of 3 kids, and am now a married working mom. A few years ago, my mom ruined a moment with my sick grandpa, using a vulnerable time to discredit me. I reflected on my mom's patterns, how she'd put me down, and how one-sided our relationship is, and I finally had it. I got angry, told her, and she doubled down. I realized she wouldn't change and would play victim when I brought up what bothered me, so I went no contact for 2 years, during which time my siblings fed back info to her. Then in a moment of weakness, I heard her out. She seemed to really turn a corner. Since then, she's played victim, blamed me, but also shares pictures of us online claiming reconciliation and so forth. My truth is, I don't forgive her, and in a lot of ways, a big part of me rejects a relationship with her, which I feel is worse. But she doesn't act like she likes me either. I see and feel it. I feel angry, misunderstood, and manipulated, like I'm just a path to my kids. Our kids love their grandparents, but I'm seeing my stress spill out with them, and they don't understand. I'm struggling with setting boundaries because deep down I don't think I want to be in contact with Mom anymore anyway. And I'm really struggling with what I'll lose now since I don't feel like my reasons are good enough. But I need to choose my immediate family. Well, I'd like to talk to Sven. She says everyone talks about setting boundaries, but how do you set one with someone who is avoiding those conversations and neglectful until the moment they want contact with your grandkids? And how do you know when it's enough to walk away again, knowing what you will lose?
Tech, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Great to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on. Okay, I want to call out a couple of phrases that you use here. First of all, you said in a moment of weakness. Okay, so you had cut her off. You went no contact for 2 years. That's how much you had it after she discredited you. And that was after so much, clearly a long history with your mom. This wasn't just a one-off. And she discredited you. You stood up to her. You got angry. She doubled down. trying to assert her power, put you back in your place, little lady. And then you went no contact. Your siblings fed info back to her. So clearly that's a betrayal, or it felt that way. In a moment of weakness, you said, I heard her out. What fundamentally caused that moment of weakness? And there's no shame in that. I'm not scolding you. Or what really, if you were to boil it down to one sentence, what caused that moment of weakness?
I was sitting on an email from her, once again asking to reach out and connect. And in my postpartum, freshly delivered baby brain, I thought of my own kids doing that to me at some point. And so it was just kind of, I should respond. And I responded to my dad, who had asked again, can you please talk to your mom? So that was it. It just was a moment of weakness based on an email conversation. Yeah. So that was
an email conversation
or email
she
reply.
had sent an email. You felt pressure from basically your unborn children or unborn child or recently born child and pressure from your father. Imagining your future children. Okay. And you're unborn. So you succumbed to external pressure.
Yep.
And so you came in. Okay. That's point 1. 2. Then you use the phrase, my truth is I don't forgive her in a lot of ways. A big part of me rejects a relationship with her, which I feel is worse, you said. In what way is a rejection of a relationship worse? Because you had already gone no contact for 2 years. So you're familiar with it. You know how it operates. You were able to do it for 2 years. But how is a rejection of a relationship with her worse? In one sentence or less, how is it worse?
It's worse because I feel like I have to fight my natural instinct to be close to people around me, because I'm normally really close to people I like and am in contact with.
How were you able to fight that natural instinct for 2 years? I mean, it sounds like it was quite effortless. You did it for 2 years. How were you able to do it for 2 years?
It helps to not live in the same city. So like no one's coming over, no one's, I can dodge calls, I can dodge emails.
But you live in the same city now?
We do not. No, we're still in the separate cities.
Okay, but I'm still, and nothing's changed from when you did it the first 2 times. Why would it be so much harder this time?
Because now we're seeing each other, where I feel like there's this pull to have the same relationship I did, where I was always like acquiescing and being a compliant kid, which I had grown up being. And now I feel like I kind of put her at a distance. So it's this distance that I have now that I think I'm more having a problem
So
with.
How would it be worse? Now, you've said all of that good stuff. Sum it up in one sentence. How would it be worse to reject a relationship with her? In one sentence, how would it be worse than having a relationship with her?
I'm embarrassed that I got in contact with someone that now I don't want to be in contact with.
But that doesn't tell me how it would be worse.
Okay.
We're not talking about, think of it this way. Hold on.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. In terms of a totally different situation. Imagine I'm counseling a couple, and let's just say one of the partners says, you know what, Sven, I really don't want to be married to my spouse anymore. And I say, well, which for you is the aspect that is the hardest? Is it the going through the divorce, or is it the thought of being divorced that is the hardest or the scariest part? Okay, so think of it. There's the process of getting the divorce, and then there's the actual being divorced. So let's think of what you're talking about here.
I am divorced.
Hold on. We're not talking about your divorce. We're talking about your relationship with your mom.
Right.
And you said, I don't forgive her, and in a lot of ways, a big part of me rejects a relationship with her, which I feel is worse. So what's the worst part? Is the worst part is it the idea of getting a divorce? Is it the idea of being divorced? Or is it that a big part of me rejects a relationship with her? Or is it something in you that just rejects a relationship with her that is the worst part? What's the actual worst part?
To me, I'm going through the motions of like coming to family events and stuff, but I don't feel like this is me anymore. I feel like it's
you're not being you. You're not being authentic.
I'm not being me.
Fake.
My authenticity is totally gone, and that's not who I am with everyone else.
Got it. Okay. And so we've established earlier in a moment of weakness, you gave in to her. We've established that presently it feels worse to sort of be in this fake position. And then you go on to say, and I'm really struggling with what I'll lose now since I don't feel like my reasons are good enough. And then at the end you say, and how do you know when it's enough to walk away again, knowing what you'll lose? You'll use the word lose twice. Okay. What precisely is it that you think you're going to lose? Put it in one sentence. What are we talking about here that you're going to lose? I'm just curious.
I'm going to lose a relationship with my dad, frankly.
Okay. So lose relationship with dad. So you basically, dad would side with mom and he would not try to just have a relationship with his daughter and a relationship with his mom.
No. And my mom is a wedge between me and my dad. She always has to be there. I can't have an independent relationship with him.
And just out of curiosity, is it, for clarity's sake, is it that you can't have a relationship with him, or is it that he's not allowed to have a relationship with you?
He's not allowed to have a relationship
with
me.
Relationship between your mother and your father, who has what percent of the power? Now, power comes in many forms. Power of money, power of your nagging, power of your anger, power of the bedroom, power of what your parents will think, power of what the kids will think, power that you might leave me, all sorts of powers and fears that go on in a relationship. All of those things considered in the relationship, just their relationship with each other, all those things considered, who has what percent of the power, as you see it, in their relationship?
My mom's afraid of being abandoned. So she's afraid that, my dad will have relationships with, not extramarital relationships, but friendships without her. She can't be alone. She's also afraid of being not included. He just needs someone there to take care of, I think, is what it's hard to define who has got the most. But I think he lives in fear of my mom's wrath, of being on the sorry end of that, where he's like in trouble all the time.
And so, summing it up, mom fears abandonment, can't be alone, fears not being included. He needs someone to take care of. He fears her wrath. Who has what percent of the power? And you can't say 50-50. So who has what percent of the power?
I would say mom has most of the power.
I want percents.
75%, and dad has 25%.
I see. And so, and if dad fears mom's wrath, largely I'm willing to bet that's why she basically has triple the amount of power in that relationship from your construction of it, at least. And so, if you would lose a relationship with your dad. Now, just out of curiosity, for those 2 years that you went no contact with your mother, you were able to not have a relationship with your dad then.
I was able to somewhat have a relationship with dad. I did set down some ground rules that he could have video calls with our kids, but mom couldn't be in the room. I said he could come and visit. He never did. So I did set some rules with him during that time period.
And how did that feel for you to have that relationship with him?
Forced. Like, I wasn't allowed ever to have any rules of my own. So for me to impose those rules on him felt really unnatural.
I'm sure it did. And how did, briefly, how did he respond?
When I set the rules, like when I said that.
Yes, like, and over the course of the 2 years, and over the course of the 2 years.
He would still bring up the fact that I was not in contact with mom, and she would love to be here for these moments. And, I don't feel right being on a call with the kids with your mom not here, so I got a guilt trip all the time.
Okay, you got a guilt trip. And reasonable to assume that would happen again if you were to pursue the same course of action. All right, so is it when you are, so right now, I assume you have a relationship with your dad because everything's hunky-dory.
I do have a relationship with my dad, but it's still, I would say, distant.
Why? Why is your relationship with your dad distant?
Because he does not make an effort to come and initiate any contact with me. It's always me chasing him.
And has it always been that way?
I think it has, now that I'm talking to you.
And so then, and just out of curiosity, how does it feel to know that you've always been chasing a relationship with him?
Super frustrating, and makes me feel neglected.
Of course it does.
And angry.
And why do you think it is that he's never pursued a relationship with you?
That's a good question.
If you were to speculate based on what you know of mom, what you know of dad, what you know of your relationship with dad, et cetera, why do you think he has not pursued a relationship with you?
I think it's easier to not get into the details when he doesn't pursue a relationship with me. Therefore, he doesn't have to keep anything from my mom. I think it puts him in a weird situation to have a relationship with me if I'm not as close to her. And I think he probably gives her a really big guilt trip if he's, on the phone with me, or
she gives him a big guilt trip. She gives him a big guilt trip.
She gives him one.
So it's easier for him to be distant from you.
Yes.
Even though he might want a relationship with you, it's easier for him to be distant from you because of the price he pays on the back end with her, that she wants to be included with everything. She can't be alone. And no doubt, I'm betting she wants all the attention.
Yes, absolutely.
I see. Now, but you said this has always been this way. So have you always pursued a relationship with him, like even when you were a teenager and a kid? Or did you guys have a sweet relationship then?
We had a better relationship when I was under the same roof. My parents were both deeply religious. So it was a lot about, once we got to be our own people, it got distant because we weren't like following the family track and that sort of thing. So, but we used to go out to breakfast, but I think they stopped getting to know me at about 19.
And they stopped getting to know you at 19, and that is fundamentally boils down to what reason? Because
getting to know or knowing me now would have to deal with conflict.
Yeah, but you're not 19
No,
now.
I'm not 19 anymore.
How old are you?
In my 40s.
Okay, in your 40s. At 19, why did they stop getting to know you? Is it because you had changed and they weren't interested and they wanted you to be who they wanted you to be, so it was a control thing?
Yes.
Because remember, you're the oldest, so you were a goddamn disappointment. Yes. I'll bet. And they didn't approve.
Yeah, I know. I was the high achiever, and but I think once I moved away to college, they just they couldn't control me. They couldn't control who I dated. They couldn't control where I was at night. They couldn't control me.
And so what was the distance then? Was that a statement of disapproval? Was it a we don't like you anymore? What was it?
That was a punishment for not including them in parts of my life at that point, because I knew I couldn't be me if I was attached to them.
And just out of curiosity, recognizing what the relationship with mom had been, recognizing what the relationship with dad had been, recognizing who each of them are, where do you think that mandate came from that we are now punishing you? Did it come from mom? Oh, right. And she had 75% of the power.
Correct.
Right. And so fundamentally, she forced him to, this is the family line. And then many years later, when you ended up cutting off mom, even your own siblings. Now, this goes back to what I tell people all the time, that the family myth, the family story exists to protect the person at the top of the food chain, whether it's the king or the queen. And in this case, it's the queen, and everyone in the food chain, your mom, your dad, your siblings, maybe there's aunties and uncles, but whoever's in that immediate food chain exists to protect the queen in this case. But why? Because they fear the queen. If mom has a wrath, she likely has, then everybody fears that wrath. But that also comes with, when there is a queen, it also comes with either not just the stick, but a carrot as well. It comes with praise. It comes with the Scooby snacks. It comes with payoffs. And so the people in the food chain want the payoffs, even if the payoffs is the smile of approval or the hope for getting approval one day. And it's also the fear of that scorn, that wrath. And so when someone steps out and chooses to no longer play by the family myth or expose the family myth or what have you, then the queen turns the family against, and sometimes the queen doesn't even have to do it. They know, listen, shut up, or what have you. And it sounds like that happened, that your mom controlled your father and your own father turned his back on you. So let me just ask you this before we cut to a commercial, and simply this. If you were out visiting the Badass Counseling Show in New York City, and if we were taping in person, and while you were in New York City, you happened to be on the subway or whatever, and the next morning you read that on the very subway station that you got off of, and you happened to be there, and it caught your eye in the newspaper the next day, that at that subway station, that a woman had gotten mugged by a robber, and the robber had punched the old woman as well. And 20 feet away was a copper, and the cop watched the whole thing and didn't lift a finger. Who commits the greater crime? The robber who robbed the old woman and punched her, or the copper who watched it and didn't do a thing?
The cop who does not protect and serve.
I see. And so in this case, while it is different, who committed the greater crime in your eyes?
Dad, because he enabled it and saw what was going on
and what is the
acknowledge it.
Underlying message being sent to the 19-year-old girl by the father?
You don't matter.
And
my wife matters more.
And worse, I'm going to protect myself at the expense of you because I fear her wrath. So I'm going to shove you out of the foxhole to eat the hail of bullets coming from mom, and we're going to isolate you so that I can be safe. My safety is more important than yours, and I am willing to let go of my relationship with you so as to keep me safe. I'm more important than you.
That's true.
From your own father.
Mm-hmm.
Much more to come right after this short break.
Okay, well, you've heard the podcast, you've listened to other people's issues, maybe you've studied hundreds of Sven's TikTok videos. Time to stop lurking, face your fears, and focus directly on the one person in your life who can benefit the most from Sven's experience and insight. Now, that would be you. Just go to badasscounseling.com and order Sven's book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. Or check out his many video courses. Sven found a way to help himself out of a 12 years depression. It worked for him, and it can work for you too. Check out badasscounseling.com today.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
We are back with Tech. Tech, I want to ask you, is it losing a relationship with your father that you would most lose, or is it losing the hope of someday getting something from your father that you would most lose? Because it sure as shit doesn't sound like you're getting much from the old man right now.
No, it doesn't. I think you're right. I think I'm kind of hoping for something to change in him because I see him as having the potential to change, but I don't see my mom as that.
And what are you still wanting from your dad?
Oh, I guess acknowledgement that this is all happening, but it's probably not going to happen.
Why do you want, right, understand. And it never happening is one thing.
Yes.
But it doesn't change the fact that you want it.
Yeah.
And you're wanting the acknowledgement of everything that is happening. But if it's not just that it is happening, it's been happening the whole time. And if you were to sum up in one sentence what has been happening the whole time, and dating back to childhood. It didn't just start when you were 19. This whole
Mm-mm.
stuff, this mom, of it all being about mom and so forth, has been going on. So sum it up. What do you want Dad's acknowledgement of in one sentence? What are we talking about?
I want Dad to acknowledge the cycle of neglect and control that's dictated all of our lives.
Okay. And if Dad acknowledged that cycle of neglect and control that's dictated all of your lives, if he did that, and you already said, I don't see Mom as having the potential to do that, which doesn't mean you don't want it from Mom.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that you're actually wanting both of them to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Why do you want Dad, in this case, to acknowledge the cycle of neglect and control that's dictated all of your lives? Why? What would that give you in one sentence or less?
It would give me someone who sees it happening now, and it would give it another set of eyes.
But by seeing it and giving it those eyes, what does that give you? What does that do for you?
Honestly, probably nothing.
No, come on now.
Just
You wouldn't be
noticing.
bullshit. You wouldn't be waiting until your 40s for something, holding on, unless it would do something big. That's a ridiculous statement. So what would it give you that you've been wanting for 40 something years?
For him seeing it, what do I want? Or what would I?
For him to see, if he acknowledged the cycle of neglect and control that's dictated all of our lives, if he were to see it and see it happening now, and to give that set of eyes, that acknowledgement, what does that do for you?
It would validate how I'm feeling.
Validate how you're feeling presently, and validate how you've felt the whole time.
I've always felt.
Absolutely. Because presently, by Mom doubling down and perpetuating the behavior, there's an old, story from our childhood, the king has no clothes, but no one's saying anything.
Right.
No one's saying anything of what a rabid bitch Mom is and how she uses and manipulates and controls, and everybody just plays along because everybody is so terrified of Mom. Well, here comes oldest daughter. And and standing up, and everyone has to try to silence oldest daughter because everyone's afraid of Mom, and everyone wants to get those rewards, those Scooby snacks, the approval or whatever it is that Mom's doling out. But you're wanting validation of your feelings both now and the whole time. And if you got that validation of your feelings, if you finally got that, then what? What changes outside of you in your life, or what changes inside of you in your life? You've been waiting your whole life for that. And if you finally got that, what would change outside or inside of you?
I would feel the confidence to trust my own gut that it's actually happening.
That it's actually happening.
That the abuse is actually happening now, and I'm not imagining it.
Okay. And if you could, so again, it's validation, it's confirmation.
It's validation.
So I could have the confidence to trust that it is abuse. And if you had the confidence to trust that it's abuse, yes, but then what changes outside of you or inside of you? So you've had the validation and you can trust it. In other words, your confirmation. Okay. So the validation and confidence to trust are sort of the same thing, but then what?
I think it would change my whole approach to no contact. I would probably go no contact again. It's almost like I need someone else to see it to give me permission to do it.
And fine. And it would change your approach to no contact. But then how would that change your life? What would change outside and what would change inside of you? You've been waiting 40 years, which means you were waiting in your 20s and your 30s, long before you were in the thinking about no contact. You were wanting this, wanting this acknowledgement. And if you had gotten it, or if you got it now, how would that change how you lived your life outside of you, or how you felt inside of you?
I would feel confident again to pursue things I felt like I've been kept back from. I wouldn't feel so hijacked emotionally. I wouldn't feel like I had to caretake for others. I could actually do the things I'm scared to do because I'd be empowered to do them.
I see. And so you'd be confident to pursue what you felt kept back from. You do what you've been scared to do, and basically you could cut back the caretaking. Okay.
Yep.
And the caretaking, of course, is to get a sense of worth. And if I do more for you, then you'll approve of me,
Right.
etc. Okay. And then if you felt the confidence to pursue what you've been cut back from and do what you've been scared to do and so forth, then what would change outside of you or how you feel inside of you?
I think I'd be a better parent. I wouldn't feel afraid of, what other people thought of me, because other people would see what's going on, and can validate it.
Okay. And if you were a better parent and you were not afraid of what others thought of you, then what changes outside of you or what changes inside of you?
I don't feel like I have to explain every decision I make. I don't feel like I have to, or I can, be consistently vulnerable with my kids, that I can just be not the perfect person I feel like I need to be all the time to be loved.
Okay. So you don't have to explain stuff.
Yeah.
You can you can be vulnerable
Yes.
with your kids. You can be imperfect and still be loved. And so then let me ask you this. How would that all feel? Give me a feeling word.
I'd feel whole. I'd feel feeling word.
Whole is good. Give me another one.
Whole,
How would it feel?
confident,
Confident is good. Give me another one.
resolute.
And if you felt whole and
Authentic.
confident and resolute and authentic, how would that feel?
It would feel great.
Great is not
I
a
wouldn't
feeling
have
word.
to.
Give me a feeling
Sorry.
word. Give me a feeling word. If you felt whole, confident, and resolute.
I'd feel empowered. I'd feel empowered.
Okay, great. All right. So what you're fundamentally telling me then is, in order to finally in your life feel empowered and whole and authentic, you first need to be able to feel vulnerable with your kids and feel like you don't have to explain yourself, and you need to not be afraid of others. In order to have that, you need to feel the confidence to pursue what you want and not be as scared to do things. And in order to do that, you need to have the confidence to trust your own gut. In order to do that, you need to have your feelings validated, how you feel now and how you felt the whole time. And in order to have those feelings validated, you need to have dad or mom acknowledge the cycle of neglect and control that's dictated all of our lives. In other words, in order for you to ever feel whole, confident, resolute, authentic, and empowered, and in order for you to be vulnerable with your kids and be loved for all your imperfections, warts and all, and in order to be a better parent, you have to have that acknowledgement from your parents first. So your entire fucking happiness
It's all
and
hinging on
peace,
that.
you're fucking right, it does. So you cutting off your parents is far more than just cutting off your parents. Your entire worth, your entire happiness, sense of peace, sense of whole washes away with this. Everything is riding on this. That
really
if you walk
external.
away, that you will never, by how you've constructed your life, you will never feel whole or authentic or be able to be your authentic self.
That's really letting someone else control my destiny.
Well, and not only that, they have controlled it. And the truth is, one of the truths is that every single time something has come up that's been difficult this evening, that's been that might cause a person to feel angry or sad, how do you respond? Every time something came up that there was some sort of thing that might be an uncomfortable feeling, you responded with laughter.
Oh, yes, that is my style.
Right.
Humor diffuses.
Well, but not only that, humor keeps you from having to
Hide.
feel the real shit.
Yes. Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And the real shit is the anger and the sadness and the pain and all of that. And the simple fact of the matter is we discovered for the first time in your life that you have been chasing your father your whole life. And you said, I never realized that till right now. And I asked you, how did that feel? And you said, I feel neglected and so forth. And normally that would elicit pain and sadness and or anger. And if neglected is in the right direction, but it elicited a bit of laughter from you and so forth. And so the laughter is your way of smoothing it over for your own self because all of this is too fucking painful. And so here you are right now. So back to this point, fundamentally, what's happening is you are in a jail cell. You've been put in a jail cell that believes that you only have worth if you're serving others and that you all this neglect and control that's dictated your life is to keep you down and that you don't have worth or you're unlovable, you don't matter, all those messages, you need them to acknowledge it the way, and this is normal. And just so you know, you're not abnormal here. This longing for them to acknowledge it so they can acknowledge your reality. I'm not crazy. And that, wanting them to see you as valid and that you are important and what we've done is wrong and it's not okay. Because what that does then is it's a confirmation of your worth. And then I could finally be confident. And then I could finally be who I want to be. And I could finally have some relax a bit and just be my authentic self. And that would be empowering. And I could relax around my kids rather than taking my shit out or on them or always being afraid of them or letting my stress spill out on them. And so it's like you've been in a jail cell your whole life of all this crap you've been taught about yourself, and you're waiting for mom and or dad to come along and unlock that jail cell with the golden key that they have that says, no, you are good, you do have worth. And until they come along with that golden key, the way you have, the belief system is constructed is you're screwed.
Right.
Right. But here's the problem. That those messages you got, the messages in the neglect and the control and the rejection of you when you were 19 because you weren't being, that punishment because you weren't being who they wanted you to be. And so we're going to reject you as a show of force, as a punishment because you're being a bad girl, because you're not being who we want you to be. And that you only have worth when you're being a good girl doing what we want you to do. That all of those messages that you got at 19, you had been getting in other forms at 14, at 9, at 6, in some way. They didn't just magically turn the corner when you were 19. Right. So that jail cell that you've been in, the cells of that, or the bars of that jail cell is written into each one of those, is inscribed into each one of those. You're not important enough. You're not lovable the way you are. Who you are doesn't really matter. You should be who we want you to be. And all of those bars, and again, they have the golden key. But here's the problem. The problem is that little 7-year-old girl, there was nothing wrong with her to begin with. That jail cell that they put you in of all those beliefs that you weren't lovable, that you weren't okay, that you weren't enough, that who you really are isn't good enough, all of that was just garbage. It was BS. How is a 7 or a 3 or a 9-year-old girl not lovable? You said you have children. How old are your children?
11, 8, and 1.
Okay. So let's take is your 8-year-old a girl?
It goes girl, boy, girl, or excuse me, girl, boy, boy.
Okay, let's take your 11-year-old. Let's take your 11-year-old. Let's take your 11-year-old girl. Is there anything about your 11-year-old girl that makes her intrinsically unlovable?
No.
Of course not. Of course
Nothing.
not. Right. So if, let's just randomly say 15 years ago, she's 26 and she believes I'm just not lovable the way I am. I have to work to earn love.
Right.
How would that make you feel as her mother?
I feel like absolute crap.
Because
she would have gotten that message somehow from me at that point.
Right. Right. And the truth is she's lovable just the way she is.
Absolutely.
Right. But so if it's good for her, why isn't it true for you? I mean, well then surely one of your kids, surely one of your kids must not be lovable the way they are. If we're going to just play the odds, if you're not lovable the way you are, when you were 7, you weren't lovable the way you are, the way you were. Yeah. If everything mom and dad said was true, then surely one of your kids must be inherently unlovable. So is it the infant or is it the 8-year-old?
Right. Yeah. Nobody. No.
Right. And yet you were taught a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Tech, there was never anything wrong with you. Yeah. And there still isn't. But that's what happens is you were taught this lie. This belief that there is something wrong with you. Mm-hmm. And you've believed it ever since. And the belief is that the only people that can undo that lie are the people who taught that lie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you're holding out. And deep down, that's what you're walking away from.
Right.
If you break off contact. But here's the thing. You breaking off contact in the face of being mistreated and mistreated and mistreated, which every time they mistreat you, by dad not standing up for you, by dad not pursuing you, by mom only calling when she wants access to your jewels, your kids, by them treating you this way, and yet posting online, oh, we're reconciled, kumbaya, bullshit. You, every time that you allow this, you are confirming that this jail cell is true and everything they said was true. But the moment you walk away, you are saying that the lie isn't true. You are confirming your worth. You are saying, wait, I matter. I actually do. You've been waiting for them to confirm your worth. But the moment you walk away from someone repeatedly denying your worth, invalidating you, that is fundamentally you standing up and shouting to the heavens, no. And in that anger, in that sort of righteous anger, in that no, deep inside of that is the word I. I don't deserve this. I'm not going to tolerate this. I don't want to interact with you if you're going to treat me this way. I. So inside the anger is no. Inside the no is I. And so by you saying no, by you creating that boundary, you are finally, for the first time in your life, finding your I. When it was stolen from you, they were fundamentally teaching you your I doesn't matter. Your I doesn't exist. Only we have the capacity to confirm your I. And when I stepped you through this little process here of, well, then what? Well, then what? Then what? And at the very end, you basically said, then I could be whole. I could have my I. Then I could be authentic. Then I could be confident. Then I could feel empowered. In other words, then you could have your I if they gave it back to me.
Right.
If they released me from that cell. But by you standing up and saying no for the first time in your life, life begins at the word no. It is you finally saying I. It's ultimately shouting to the heavens, I.
You're right.
And that's a powerful thing. It is a very powerful thing because they will employ all the powers to say, no, your I doesn't exist. And so let me ask you, what are you feeling right now? If you're to just be totally honest.
Yeah, no, I think I'm just thinking of the way I've approached issues with them in the past. And I'm finally getting the words around, hey, you can't post pictures without my consent. Those sort of the no, like you said. But I think I've said no by avoiding it, which isn't always a good approach either.
And why have you chosen to avoid it?
Yeah, because I brought it up and it's immediately blamed, deflected, not acknowledged. Just
imagine there's a power imbalance. There has
Yes.
you don't have to imagine it. You
Always
lived it.
been.
There's always
Oh, yeah.
been a power imbalance. So imagine it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
for our listeners, it's like you have two buildings and one is really tall and one is really short. That is the nature of the power imbalance. And then you found your voice in those times where you made a boundary or you finally stood up to your mom. It's like you built on 50 more stories to come up equal to their 58 stories. So now you're both at 58 stories and they're like, oh, hell no.
No.
And
Get
they
down.
built 25 more stories to knock you back down, or they just brought in a wrecking ball and tried to knock you back down. And so ultimately, what you're having to do is to escalate and either build those 20 more stories or build in a wrecking ball to take down theirs, or at some point, you get sick of playing the game and you walk away, right? That ultimately I see you for who you are.
Yes.
And you're just an instrument of destruction and you hurt. And I don't want you in my life. And so isn't it interesting you avoided it before? Because it hurt. You knew that they would escalate. You knew that they would hurt you further. And by them hurting you further, by you avoiding them hurting you further, what you're avoiding is when they hurt you further, when they re-escalated, they were just saying again, you don't matter.
You don't matter.
So you would avoid that because it would hurt so much when they did that.
It'd be the rejection again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. And so you're in a position now of basically asking yourself the question, can I let go of ever getting that confirmation of my worth from my parents? And at what point do I just confirm my own worth and go on with my life and open my hand and let go? And here's the other bottom line. And the other bottom line is this. Why are they employing so much force to keep you down? They're doing it, sure, because they're angry, but they're doing it because they're afraid of you.
They're afraid.
Because you hold the truth that they don't want out. And the truth is the neglect, the control, the using, the manipulating, they don't want that out. Why? Because then mom loses control. And presently, everyone shows fealty to the queen. Everyone takes the knee to the queen, and she likes that. And it gives her power, and everyone pouring love into her love cup. So they will employ every effort to silence you. And recognizing that they were able to silence you 2 years later, last time, they will continue to show those efforts. But again, the one thing that they lose is they lose access to their grandchildren. So they're going to up the ante, but you have the power now. You have the power of the truth, but more importantly, but they're not going to listen. No one wants to listen to you now. They don't want the truth. Your siblings don't want the truth, etc. But in the end, you have the power to fundamentally just make yourself happy and confirm your own worth and shout to the heavens, I. Because that's what this is all about. Because your I has been silenced your whole life. So let me ask you then, finally, what's going on inside of you right now?
Just thinking about how much time I've given of me and how much I've given away.
There it is. Welcome the tears. Don't laugh. Just let it come. Come on. Just let it come.
I was trying so hard.
Just let it come. All the time you've given to what?
Maintaining a relationship with people who never were capable of it.
In hopes of what?
In hopes of feeling good about myself.
Right. And the truth is, let me ask you this. In the case of your parents, are there people in your parents' lives whom they treat better than you?
Strangers, any relative, and church people.
So then when you say, hoping for to get something and have a relationship with people who aren't capable of it, you're lying. They are capable of it.
They are capable of it. With
they don't
me,
want
they
to.
Won't.
And they won't. They don't want because they don't have to.
Right.
They can keep taking because you keep giving it. They don't have to. And quite frankly, they don't give a shit. The reason they give a shit with strangers or people at church or whatever is because those people have power over them. They have the power to dislike them, to walk away from them, to turn their backs on them, whatever it is, to think lowly of them. Right. But they're children they have under their thumb. So at this point, And just one last note, when you say all the time I've given trying to have relationships with people who basically, don't want to give back to you, it's easy. I hear that a lot with clients, and I've wasted so much of my life and so on and so forth. You, of all people on God's green earth, should understand and remember what 27-year-old you was going through. You, of all people, should remember how much 20-year-old you was hurting. You, of all people, should remember what 13-year-old you felt and what 9-year-old you felt and how hard it was and how much she was going through. And so you, of all people, should be the one delivering compassion to her and not getting mad at her. And it's okay to flush out your frustration and your sadness and feelings, those feelings of loss and wasted time. Yet it should also be you saying, but you know what? I was doing my best. And
I feel bad for her.
And they had all the power. And you were fighting a family of power and two parents who were not being good people, who were not being good parents. And that's not love. To exercise that sort of pain over your own children is not love.
Right.
Tech, any final questions?
Does it ever get easier setting limits with them? I mean, is that a conversation where I have to be like, hey,
wait a minute. Whoa. No. Does it ever get easier setting limits with them and having conversations? Why would you still have conversations? Why are you still in any sort of relationship with people? Yeah. You can do whatever you want, but why are you still doing it? Why would you still have a relationship if you know they're going to manipulate you and abuse you and neglect you and so forth? Help me understand.
I'm just wondering, is it required to have closure and say, these are the reasons I'm walking away, or do you just do it?
Well, let me ask you this. You don't have to do this.
Right.
You don't have to, but I'm just going to ask the question, okay? And you can change your mind in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question is this, and again, you don't have to do this. What do you most want to do in this situation?
Knowing how it's going to end up, and I'm going to bring things up they'll deny anyway. I don't know if it's worth the fight.
And so what do you most want to do in this situation in one sentence or less?
I want to walk away.
Then fucking do it. You don't have to. I'm not going to pressure you.
No, but I know.
So at what point do you just do what you want? When does your
When do I get to say?
And it's not get to. Even the word get to implies you need permission.
Right.
When do you just do what you want to do? It's my life. These are my children. I'm in charge here, and this is my life. It's like, why not just do it your way? And you can do what you want. If you want to do the closure thing, you know they're going to jerk you around. You know they're going to manipulate you, make you look like the bad person. I would encourage you. The truth is, you know what you want to do. They're going to paint you bad no matter how you do it.
No matter what. Right.
Do it your way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
And it's scary. And you need to be journaling your butt off about all your fears and all your anxieties and so on and so forth. But in the end, you know what you want to do. Yeah. You know what the path is ahead. And it's time to begin to honor your I and build your life your way and begin to cut out more and more of the people who dishonor or invalidate your I.
Yes. Right. I need to do that.
It sounds like.
I'm worth it and for my kids.
You have been an amazing guest and really, truly, and yes, you'll become an even better mom than I have no doubt you already are. Thank you so much for being on the show.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for your words of wisdom and tough love as always.
And the only one I'm being tough on is the voices of BS inside of you. The actual you, it's just love, baby. It's just love.
Yep. Love it.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, and on behalf of everyone who listens in to our show around the world, I know we're all thanking Tech for her openness and her vulnerability and even the laughter. Rob, any final thoughts?
I too took note of text laughter at uncomfortable moments, and I think that's the way that we regain our emotional balance in uncomfortable situations. I get that. I get that way sometimes myself with some laughter.
Sure.
It's kind of a shortcut to calm down your feelings. It is not a sign of insensitivity.
Good point. And yet, nonetheless, and the calm down the feelings, that's really good, Rob. I like that. And yet the challenge in our times alone and doing our work is to sort of push through that desire to laugh and to sit in the actual feelings as we are flushing them out. And then what we find is that in those times, more and more when we are not alone, we're able to be in the feelings and be a little more vulnerable, whether with our kids or with the people we trust more, because we're not as afraid of that sort of emotional, that stuff rising up.
Well said, as usual.
But I like what you said there, Rob. That was really interesting. Well, on behalf of my team, folks, KC over in the booth, who is happy as a clam, and Rob the Rocket, always got little bits of insight. Just wonderful. On behalf of the team, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.